In late 2024, Luigi Mangione allegedly shot the CEO of United Health, a man by the name of Brian Thompson. And since then, quite a lot has happened. The internet kind of went ablaze. Luigi became a bit of a meme, and a lot of people fell in love with him. Since he did get initially arrested, he became a millionaire briefly after over $1.2 million was donated to his legal fund. A musical was created in his honor, which ended up having a sold-out run in San Francisco and going international. He briefly appeared as a model on the Chinese fast fashion website Shein, and he received quite a lot of letters. So he celebrated his 27th birthday in jail and ended up releasing this letter where he detailed everything that he was grateful for. He starts off by thanking his friends, his family, all the people he's met in jail that have helped him, and then he gets a bit more creative towards the end. My personal favorite was the shout out he gave to number 16, which is Latinas for Mangione. He also seemed to set in motion the complete destruction of United Health, the company, because since the shooting that he allegedly did, the company's been kind of in free fall. Their stock price has gone down by over 40% in the last year when the market is at an all-time high. United Health has been down bad. They've had like a series of investigations opened into them for like billions of dollars of potential fraud. And so things are not looking great for them. But I will say that things are looking a lot better for Luigi. The first update is that Luigi is still as photogenic as ever. He is possibly the first person I've ever seen go into jail and have a glow up whilst imprisoned. He still has has not broken his record of only being able to take extremely photogenic pictures, and he's looking as good as ever. But in terms of actual material stuff, the biggest one is that a judge has actually thrown out 2 terrorism charges that were listed against him. So he wasn't just on trial for murder, but he was also on trial for committing murder as a crime of terrorism. This is under a batch of laws that were passed after 9/11 to prosecute actual terrorists. For example, one of the people that this law was used against was a dude who was fundraising for ISIS. And another guy was a white supremacist who murdered a black person because of some stated racial goals, right? And Luigi obviously did not strike that kind of fear into the hearts of the public. The law that they tried to get him under would be an add-on to the crimes that he had committed, if they were allegedly done with the intention to intimidate or coerce a civilian population, or to influence the policy of a unit of government. And the big thing is that if he was tried under this charge and was found guilty, it would be an automatic life sentence for him. So getting this dropped is actually a pretty big deal for him. The main argument behind why he's not a terrorist is the fact that in his own diaries, he explains that he's choosing to just kill one person as opposed to, say, bombing the corporate headquarters. Because in his own words, bombs equal terrorism, and it would recklessly endanger countless employees. So quite clearly, Luigi didn't strike fear into the hearts of the general public in the way that the government would like you to believe. And the judge seemed to agree with that. But it's not like he's got off scot-free, right, if that's what you think, because he is facing a laundry list of charges. These are just the charges he faces in New York at the moment. He still faces more murder charges as well as weapons possessions, and has a separate federal investigation going on at the same moment. So he's not exactly free, but he has had a big win, I would say, in court as of late. And to be fair, the whole terrorism charge against Luigi was, I think, arguably quite politically motivated. There was this huge push by politicians in the wake of the shooting to make Luigi out to be like the Unabomber or something like that, right? Like Charles Manson. And the mayor of New York even participated in the in the perp walk for some reason. He's such a clown, man, Eric Adams. Yeah, there was this huge media push for a guy who clearly wasn't seeking to do more murder or to do more crimes. And the New York City elite, or the political elite at least, felt like they had to put up a front. And the terrorism charges were, in my opinion, definitely a result of that. A way to promote this message that Luigi was not someone to be adored, because a lot of the public did seem to like him. I think there is a bigger point to be made about the fact that they tried to get him on terrorism charges, which is a vast fucking stretch of the definition of terrorism. And it's a fear that has actually been raised by New York lawyers as I was reading about it. Obviously, in the wake of any tragedy, laws get passed, and often those laws tend to push the boundaries of what's already acceptable. And this is another example of trying to push the boundaries of a law which was clearly designed to tackle actual like terrorists and apply it to a case where the average person of New York probably wasn't that shook by it. But yes, as I say, Luigi has not really gotten off like scot-free or anything, and he's still facing some really serious charge. Probably the biggest charge he faces is in his federal trial. So he's currently expected to have a trial in New York against the state of New York and a trial against the US federal government. And in that trial, the government has stated that they're looking to get the death penalty. His lawyers did try to get this thrown out on the grounds that he'd be getting charged twice for the same crime. So he'd be getting charged once at a state level and getting charged again at a federal level for the same murder with the same witnesses, the same evidence. They argued that to do 2 trials for the same crime is double jeopardy. Unfortunately, that hasn't stuck. And it turns out that there's like an exception in New York state law that says that if you're facing a federal case and a state case, it doesn't count as double jeopardy. You've effectively committed an offense against 2 different parties. And so it's not the same trial being run twice. So the federal charges are, I think, arguably politically motivated. They allow Donald Trump and Pam Bondi to get their headline and for them to feel like they've done something, and also to implement the death penalty. So if he was just being tried on state charges, he wouldn't be able to get the death penalty. But Trump reversed a federal break on giving people the death penalty, so he can get that in his federal trial as a punishment. That's kind of why they're pushing the state and federal trial at the same time. Yeah, I think it's a bit of a push to try and claim that Luigi was committing acts of terrorism, because I don't think there are many people outside of maybe healthcare CEOs that feel terrorized right now. So he is still facing some really serious charges. Likely the death penalty is going to be the outcome if he loses his federal trial. But at least at a state level, things are looking a little bit better because New York doesn't actually impose the death penalty as a state punishment. People are sending him letters, people are sending him money, and he has over $1 million raised from over 30,000 people. Clearly there's like mass public support, and the attempts to paint him as like as a terrorist, someone who's trying to incite fear into the public at large, haven't really worked because so many people have such negative impressions of the healthcare industry that they supported him, right? The general public opinion towards Luigi is a lot more positive. I guess at this point, he just has to hope that the prosecution keep fumbling. And they have fumbled a couple of times. I think arguably the biggest one was when they accidentally listened to an entire phone call. Well, accidentally listened to an entire phone call between him and his lawyer, and had to admit that they did later on. So they can hope that the incompetence of the government persists and he'll be good if that's the case. But for now, things still look pretty rough on the whole for him, but he has evaded 2 major charges and still has tons and tons of public support. So we'll find out over the next couple of months how this wraps up.